Hey everyone, and welcome to another Vivid vlog. This year, 2025, a lot more things were open and free to the public. This would have been my third year going. We initially started going in 2023. We went for my birthday last year, and this year we brought a couple of my sisters along for their first time experiencing Vivid. For anyone that's not sure what Vivid is, it is a light show that happens around Sydney. There's quite a few installations in a lot of different places, and I basically walked along and took as many videos as I possibly could. We started at the goods line where they had the fire kitchen again, so they had a lot of different food stalls that we could try. Fire that went off sporadically every 15 minutes, I would say. Installations up and down the buildings, and even DJs and other things to see and do. We only stopped for a few different places, including the sashimi, skewers at Hoi Polloi, and a couple of other little goodies here and there. This is probably one of my favorite areas of Vivid just because it's so nice to get to be able to have some food, try out the different cuisines, and it also smells amazing walking through. From the goods line, we were then heading towards Darling Harbour, so we had to pass through Darling Square. They had this light tunnel made up of brightly coloured stars, and it was definitely a wonderful spot to take photos. Then within Darling Square, they had some fairy lights that they usually have up every year, and a giant head that you could walk through and take photos in. We didn't end up lining up for that because the line was huge, but we did stop for some food in the Nest and then got some lightsabers from the vendors outside. Passing Darling Square and continuing towards Darling Harbour, there was a little skating rink and these telephone booths. The telephone boxes were really cool. They would inquire about your dreams and then you would speak back into it. It would record what your dreams are and then broadcast it throughout Vivid. At Tumbalong Park itself, they had performers as always, and these rainbow coloured, what looks to be like macaroni pasta. I think they were beautifully coloured and you could walk through and take as many photos as you wanted. It was definitely one of the bigger installations of Vivid. Towards the back of Tumbalong Park, they had these seesaws with the eyes and some swings with the rain clouds. Then they also had this light tennis, ping pong, football, I don't know what it was, but basically the lights would travel from one side to the other and you would have to hit it on time to send it back to your opponent. It was a bit of a team game because you would have 5 people lined up next to each other, but it looked pretty cool. You will come to find out that I don't know the actual names of these installations, so I'll just go by what they look like, really. Closer to the harbour, we had the floating house and these spiky lights, which were really cute. The spiky lights also had a backing track that had some tinkling sounds, which were really cute and really nice to listen to. And then down by the harbour, we had this Samsung installation. These big box-like screens over on the harbour that showed images of castles and dancing and a few other things. Near the W building, there was this slinky light that glowed in hues of pinks and blues. And then continuing from Darling Harbour down towards Cockle Bay Wharf, we found these sheep clouds. This was quite a noisy installation because you could go up, press the buttons underneath, and every time you pressed a button, it made a sound. Collectively, the sheep made a lot of different sounds, obviously not what sheeps usually make, but it was fun to be a part of. We continued around the harbour towards Barangaroo and found these teardrop lights. They were actually massive and really pretty. Probably one of my favourites to take photos with as well. And these were close enough to the station so they were easily accessible to a lot of people. This one was another artwork that was projected onto the side of a building. It was very cute with a whale and some magical characters telling a story as they went. Then they had a fire hand. This was amongst a bunch of other installations that were also there last year. These lightning rods, however, weren't there, but this was really cool to see. This was all along the way to Barangaroo Reserve. When we finally got there, we could see that there were quite a few installations in that area as well. This one was cool because it looked like an astronaut was caught within its own gravity space container inside of this installation. And of course, one of the most popular ones was this moon swing. However, we got there quite late, so we didn't end up joining the line before it was closed off. The last one that we got to see for the first night was this one. You could speak into it, say whatever your heart desired, and then it would shoot up into the middle of it and into the atmosphere. And that was it for night 1 of our Vivid. It was now night 2 of Vivid, and we were headed down towards Circular Quay and the Rocks. We started in the city as always, however we did miss out on the Martin Place installations. The tram lines were closed because of the mass amounts of people within the city, and we all had to walk towards them. Them being the installations at Circular Quay. Although it was a little cold, it was a nice walk down towards the ocean. We were initially going to go straight towards Circular Quay, however we saw all the signs pointing to the Rocks as well, so we headed down there too. Down by the Rocks they had another market area similar to what the fire kitchen was like, but it was absolutely packed, so we didn't end up walking amongst it. I got some videos from afar though. From the Rocks it was nice to see the harbour bridge all lit up, and they had more projections on buildings. This one was nice and vibrant, and I loved taking photos of it. If you went down towards the water a little bit more, you could get a better view of the Opera House. So we followed the crowd, and that's where we went. Similar to last year as well, the harbour bridge was lit up with a lot of blues and pinks, and also had some installations on the towers. I have really enjoyed coming to Vivid each year, and this year having more things free to see for the public made it a lot easier to access and a lot more fun by allowing us to bring our sisters along and just be able to afford it. The Opera House was lit up with many different colours, a spectacular rainbow, and it also had dreams and thoughts projected across it. Now I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is where the dreams that were spoken into the telephone boxes were projected throughout Vivid. I think we only saw one in the time that we were down by the Opera House, but it was still a nice sight to see. Walking around Circular Quay, they had another projection up onto a building, which was really pretty and made walking through the crowds a lot easier where we were distracted by the lights. We were somewhat done with the main installations of Vivid by this point, so we headed towards the wharfs to catch a ferry towards Luna Park. My sisters hadn't really been on any rides or anything at Luna Park before, so I was really happy to be able to take them. And Luna Park was doing a Luna Park After Dark specifically for Vivid, which made it all the more fun. It was about $60 per person, so if they do it next year, that's sort of the price range that you would be looking at if you want to check it out for yourself. And I was excited to return to Luna Park too. It's been a hot minute since I've gone, and apart from an event here or there, I never really got to take Alch as a full Luna Park experience either. Also, heads up, the face looks terrifying at night. I was super excited, but also at the time I wasn't feeling too well, so I was kind of nervous to go on the rides. However, I was not going to let my sisters down, so I went on quite a few different rides with them. Because it was Luna Park After Dark as well, the lines were not long at all, and I think the longest we probably waited for a ride was about 20 minutes. And we started with this one. I also don't know the names of all the rides, so this one is the spinny one for future notice. It's sort of the moment when you sit in a ride chair and you start questioning all your choices. You wonder, what am I going to do if my shoes fall off? Because that was my main worry being on this ride. I was also wearing a beanie because it was cold out, so I didn't want it to fling off, and my sister suggested I shoved it in my shirt. So that's what I did. This one was a lot of fun and a nice one to sort of start with to get the adrenaline pumping, and also be able to see if I can go on rides anymore, because it's been a hot minute since I've been on anything, even like this. I did get off the ride feeling a little shaky, but overall I actually enjoyed it. And I'm kind of glad that my sisters forced me to join them on these rides, but just wait, it only gets worse. I only went on one other ride while my sisters went on a few more, just because of the amount of people that could go on them. And also I wanted to record them and send the footage to my parents. But there was also plenty to do and see in the meantime. Luna Park during the day also has a bunch of experiences, such as the Stranger Things one. They have a lot of performers walking around, clowns and ballerinas and other actors on stilts. They have carnival games such as balloon popping and a few others. Currently at the Big Top during the day, they have the Squid Game experience. I would have loved to check that out while we were there. As I was waiting to record my sisters on the Mousetrap ride, these performers came out and started dancing in front of me. So that was really cool to see and record as well. They were very talented and stayed in character the entire time, and the music was funky to listen to. Whether it's night or day, I still think Luna Park is a great thing to go and experience for yourself if you have time. Finally, it was time for the Mousetrap. My sisters went on that on their own because it was only 2 people per card, and Alch doesn't go on rides because he gets motion sickness. I also stayed down the bottom so I could try and record as much as I could, but you can even barely tell that it is them on the ride. This ride is a bit old and rickety though, so it made it all the more spooky for them. Now it was time for us to go on the Big Dipper, and I definitely remember the name of this one because it is the one that probably scared me the most. Alch did a wonderful job of recording us and tried to get as much footage as possible, but as you can see, there is a big loop around the back that you couldn't really see from where we were standing in line to go on the ride. And the force and gravity of the ride just really flings you forward in your seat. And it was just intense. I'm glad I got to experience it once, and I don't know, maybe never again. I was so worried I was going to get whiplash. I was so worried I was going to hurt myself. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm still glad that my sisters made me go on it. That one was my last ride for the night, but after that, we headed towards Coney Island. Coney Island is a big building at the back of Luna Park, and it has quite a few things inside, including some arcade machines, some clowns that you can do the ball toss into, and some slides. Basically, with the slides, you can jump in what I like to call a potato sack. It's just like a Hessian sack, and go down these slides. Some of them are straight, some of them are curvy, and there's one with a massive drop at the beginning. My sisters went on them, and Alch went on them because he could finally go on something that wouldn't give him motion sickness. We then headed behind Coney Island and through a little haunted house / tunnel thing underneath Coney Island, where some clowns were lurking. This definitely frightened my sisters. There were only a couple more rides out the back, but one of them, the line was way too long, and a couple of the other ones were either kids' rides or not currently working. So we just had a little walk around and then headed to the front. We luckily enough saw the dancers on the way out and also saw all of the performers heading out, finishing up for the night, and then it was up to us to leave Luna Park and head back to the ferries. Vivid was super cool this year, and I'm super happy that I got to experience it with my sisters and with Alch as well. And as always, I'm excited to see what either comes back next year or what is different next year. After living in Sydney for a few years, it's always nice to come into the city and see cool events like this happen and document it as much as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you'd like me to do more things like this around Sydney. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye bye!